Hi everyone and welcome to Bear Clooney Watches channel. Welcome to my cave. Before we start today's video, please, I'm asking you all a favor. Subscribe to my channel. Click on that cute astronaut bear in the bottom right corner of my video, the one with Canadian flag, and support genuine watch enthusiast channel. Support someone who is just like you. Obviously, in today's video, I am presenting a beautiful watch, a new watch in my collection, which is Ulysse Nardin Marine Chronometer in rose gold, enamel dial, croc strap, limited edition of 160 pieces. But purchasing this watch made me think of another topic I want to address in this video, and that is toxic watches or toxic watch brands. In our hobby, we are using this term for watches that are not in any shape or form of poor quality. As a matter of fact, this term applies to watches of very good quality that are depreciating significantly on a secondary market, such as Parmigiani, such as Roger Dubuis, and obviously Ulysse Nardin. It makes me think, it makes me wonder, what's driving this toxic brand, toxic watches anomaly? Why are certain watches losing significantly on the secondary market, yet in this Rolex hype-driven secondary market, we see watches of average quality reaching astronomical prices on a secondary market based on hype marketing, social media influencers? What's the reason? What's behind that whole anomaly and that separation, that segregation of hyped up watches and toxic brands? To be honest with you, I never fully understood what drives it. We all know that watches are very personal, and ultimately our emotions, our love for certain aesthetic and many other factors are driving us into collecting specific watches. Lately, however, it is very obvious that hype is prevailing and creating a situation where people are coming up with collection consisting only of, let's say, dozen high in-demand Rolex pieces, assuming that that collection is of the highest achievement. And maybe it is of the highest achievement when it comes to secondary market value appreciation, and it is probably a great mutual fund collection. But from the perspective of a love for the watches and from the perspective of appreciation of the different brands, it makes you think, where is this hobby going? Mind you, there are some of us that still pay attention to these toxic brands. And there are still people that see beauty and ultimately go for toxic watches, such as, again, Parmigiani or Roger Dubuis or this watch here. And if you buy them, excuse me, on a secondary market at the right price point, you're not even going to lose the money. So what is driving this? What's behind the scenes? Is Ulysse Nardin really doing poorly in their marketing? Is that the main and predominant factor? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I know one thing: aesthetics, quality, movements, they're not predominant factor in this anomaly that's developing, and it's becoming more and more prominent. So I would love to hear what you have to say. What do you think is the reason for brands becoming toxic? What do you think is the reason that certain brands depreciate 70, 80% on a secondary market? yet they are providing a quality product. It's a bit of a mystery for me. I thought about it and I thought, hey, why don't I ask my viewers for their opinion on it? So I'm looking forward to your responses in the comments below. Now, regarding the watch that I picked up and I genuinely love, well, you see, this is a perfect example of toxic watch, toxic brand, which is beautiful. And I managed to pick this up at the price of used sub on a secondary market from the dealer that is reputable and watch is in a great condition, watch is serviced, new strap, a proper Russian oligarch watch. What do you think? I suggest we jump into my watch studio and take a closer look at this watch. Let's go. And here we are at Bear Clooney Watches Studio, and we're going to take a closer look at this beautiful rose gold Ulysse Nardin Marine Chronometer, neo vintage watch, which beautifully represents nautical theme that this watch brand is so known for. Since late 1800s to 1950s, Ulysse Nardin was the watch brand from Switzerland that was supplying navies all around the world with highly precise nautical instruments, including chronometers. And I think this watch captures that beautiful core of this brand wonderfully. So, time to take a closer look. But before we start, as you always know, you who are following my channel, I always place some personal mementos in my videos or interesting props that for some reason go nicely with the watch that I am presenting. And today, this is actually a very important ring to me, which I happen to love wearing with this watch. I think it's warm gold color beautifully complements this watch, and I think that these vintage looking initials here are perfectly complementing the feel of this watch. But this ring has a much higher meaning than just aesthetics for me. This ring was actually given to me by my dad, who is in many ways the role model in my life. And it's actually stylistic Cyrillic initials of my dad's first and last name, which also matches my initials, MB, and also matches the initials of my grandfather, my father's father. So I think this watch is truly wonderful in its meaning, and it gives me a special feeling of connecting with my dad every time I wear this ring. And I love the vintage look of it. I love the color of the gold on this watch. And I think genuinely that this ring beautifully complements this wonderful watch. Now, let's talk about this watch itself. What impressed me, what got me attracted to this timepiece initially when I saw it for the first time, and I have to say, when I saw it actually in person, was this gorgeous enamel dial. And there is something about enamel dials, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. My son always makes fun of my accent, but I'm sure you all understand what I'm saying. This dial, the enamel dial, is so rich, so deep, so beautiful, and it is truly presented in a best possible way on this watch. I love the ratio of the dial versus the bezel, which is allowing that this already large watch of 43 millimeter appears that dial is even larger. And it truly stands out proudly as the probably nicest attribute of this watch. Also, what attracted me when I saw this piece is the beautiful warm gold color of this piece that is wonderfully complementing this dial. I loved also the coin edge and the signed crown, and I loved the little plate on the side. This watch with its design is beautifully capturing past times of marine chronometers, and I think it is presented in a most beautiful way it can be. The movement is nothing to scream about. It's a highly finished era, but it is beautifully done rotor in a 22 karat gold for Ulysse Nardin, and I think it certainly makes the case back view quite impressive. The strap is the Croc strap, which I was lucky that they put the new strap on the watch for me. And I think that this rich brown color Croc strap is beautifully complementing this watch. And finally, the deployment clasp, which is done in a gold, and it is just so beautiful. Watch is large, as I said, 43 millimeters, but I want to show you that the watch doesn't wear bad on my 7.25 inches wrist. Let me just put it here. Here we go. You see that the distance between the lugs is very short, and the watch actually wears nice, and it's not too thick either, considering that it does have a module for power reserve on the top. So this is the power reserve, which is complication that I actually like because I find it truly useful, and I think it's just logical and it makes sense. I always have this feeling that I'm overwinding my watches, but this power reserve tells you exactly what's going on. And as I mentioned, the watch sits nicely. I did have an argument with a couple of friends saying that this is a dress watch. What's a dress watch? What's a sports watch? It is a marine chronometer. This is not your dress watch, no matter what anyone says. The other things that I kind of love and appreciate on this timepiece is that the Cyclop is positioned very intelligently under the sapphire. So it doesn't protrude outside the sapphire. It's flat. Sapphire is a flat on the top, and the Cyclop, which allows us to see the date, which is, by the way, placed very intelligently where it is down by the 6 p.m. I think it's kind of done really nice, and it's actually quite functional. This watch is so beautifully legible, so rich. Roman numerals also contribute to its neo-vintage feel and neo-vintage design. And then finally, the blued hands. Take a look at those blued hands, heated blue hands. Actually, the steel is put through a heating process that achieves a certain color at a certain point, and this is how it turns so beautifully blue. Look at even the second hand, and look at the power reserve hand. The blue color on it is so rich and so luxurious. So these are some of the things I genuinely appreciate and love of this watch. Also, properly done screws to secure the straps, which is such a proper and luxurious way to do it. And the watch is hefty. It's very, very heavy. It's a lot of gold in this piece. And I frankly think this was the best way to secure this watch on this strap. So we have screws instead of spring bars. So there you go. I mean, this is the watch that I picked up at the price of Rolex sub on a secondary market. And frankly, I cannot understand why would that be. What is the reason that some brands like Rolex are so hyped up and so overpriced, and then some so-called toxic brands such as this Ulysse Nardin depreciate so that watch that is 40,000 on the secondary market would sell for $15,000-$16,000. It is what it is. Market determines the prices, demand determines the prices. But I certainly love and enjoy the aesthetics and luxurious appeal of this watch. And I'm so happy to show it to you and share it with you because I think many of you will feel the same. So there you go. That's the watch that I presented. You know, my Bear Clooney had a somehow very cute observation about this watch. When she's seen it, she said it reminds her of the Time Machine from the famous Time Machine novel or Time Machine movie. And I'm not sure if you are familiar with it, but if you're not, you can Google it and find out the look of the Time Machine. And you know what? I see that. I start to actually appreciate that. It's like a vintage high-tech product. It's like something that's produced at the time of the steam machines and the time when we did not have technology that we have today, yet we achieved such a perfection and such a beautiful creation. So I thought that her observation was very unique and nicely illustrates the feel and the appeal of this watch. So what do you say we go back to Bear Clooney's cave and wrap up this video? And we're back at Bear Clooney's cave. I hope you enjoyed the presentation of this watch. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. Personally, I picked this watch at the right price point and I'm enjoying it tremendously. And I am suggesting to all of you not to close your eyes at those toxic brands, at those toxic watches. You might find something you really love and something that will bring you a lot of joy. At the end, all the best to all of you. And don't forget to click like on this video. Thank you.